If you're planning to make a stealth build, either if it's your first playthrough or your first time delving into Oblivion stealth, there are some things you should know to make the process less painful and annoying. So I've compiled a few tips and tricks that I've learned from my sneak focus Oblivion Remastered build. Hope this helps anyone who is planning their stealth build. First is beware of leveling your skills too fast. I've seen it, you've seen it. All those level up all your skills to 100 in just 1 hour or something videos. I even created a video showing how to level up stealth kills at the start of the game, so I'm not innocent either. But my point here is that when you are leveling your skills fast, basically spamming level ups, you run the risk of being outgeared and your damage may even become too low for your level. For example, let's say you decided to level up security, sneak, and acrobatics to 100 at the start of the game. These skills are pretty easy to level up, which is why I'm using them as examples. I reckon if you do this, you'll probably end up being level 6 or maybe even higher to like level 8 or 9. Now, after leveling those up, if you decide to go dungeon diving, you'll likely find that the iron or steel short sword you have will not be doing any more damage against your enemies, even to goblins or wolves. Well, that's because for that level, the game expected you to have silver or maybe even dwarven and elven weapons. But because you spammed leveling, you ended up speedrunning to level 8 but keeping your level 2 gear. And so then, you'll realize you'll have to play catch up. You'll have to increase your level 25 blade skills to around 40 and find a decent weapon appropriate for your level. So if ever you decide to level up skills fast, just make sure to not do it too fast, to avoid a sudden jump in difficulty. Maybe just increase them up to level 50 or focus on fast leveling one skill every level. And make sure you also level up those weapon skills, which are somewhat slower to grind compared to most skills. Next is that enemies can hear you and lighting affects stealth. It is important to know that enemies in Oblivion, both in the OG and Remastered, can hear the player's footsteps. And so when you are sneaking up to an enemy, it is best to crouch and walk towards them. The noise you make also depends on the gear you have. Heavy armor will make more noise, which will make detection more likely. So choosing light armor can be a good decision, especially at the start. Do note that once you level up sneak to level 50, gear weight doesn't affect stealth anymore. This is regardless if you are wearing light or heavy armor. Then an addition to this tip is that lighting affects detection. So if you position yourself in a darkened area, enemies are less likely to detect you. Alternatively, if you're standing in the light or even casting Starlight, an illusion spell, enemies will have a higher chance to detect you. Also note that casting spells do make noise and also increase your visibility, so avoid casting spells close and in front of enemies. Third tip is that daggers are good stealth weapons due to their multiplier. So currently, I've noticed that daggers get a times 5 damage multiplier when you do a sneak attack. This even goes up to times 8 if you have level 25 sneak. Compared to the other melee weapons and the bow, which only have times 2 and times 3 max multipliers. The difference is really big. However, do note that daggers often have less damage compared to swords and other weapons. For example, a dwarven dagger has a base attack of 6 while a dwarven short sword has 14 base attack. Still, if you do the math, the dagger has higher sneak damage compared to the sword. Additionally, which is something obvious, the bow is another great stealth weapon. It only has a max sneak damage multiplier of 3, but since you have distance, you can follow up a sneak attack with maybe 2 or 3 free arrow shots. In line with the weapon multipliers, the fourth tip is about using poisons and enchantments to do extra damage. So there are poisons in Oblivion like the damage health poison, which is basically an additional damage to an enemy. You can apply it to any weapon, melee or bows, and have the effect applied when you hit an enemy with that weapon. This can be very helpful if you are lacking just a bit of damage to one-shot an enemy. So for example, if you're sneaking around and see an ogre, applying poison to your bow or on your dagger can let you one-shot the enemy. You can even do more damage if you're using an enchanted weapon. For instance, maybe your dagger has a 20 points damage with fire or something. That will add a bit more damage to your sneak attack. So don't sleep on using poisons with your stealth build. Keep maybe 3 or more poison bottles cause you'll need them. Using paralyzed poison and drain endurance or drain stealth can also be useful. Next tip is that you can use invisibility spells like a smoke bomb for disappearing and running away. So if you find yourself in a tight spot, maybe 4 goblin skirmisher just appeared out of nowhere, You can use the invisibility spell to become undetected and just escape from the encounter. Do note that since it is an invisibility spell, interacting with mostly anything will stop the spell's effect. So it's better to run away and go into another room or something. Also, if you are an Oblivion veteran or maybe you saw one of the 100% chameleon cheese, I highly recommend not going for 100% chameleon for your stealth build. I mean, getting 100% chameleon is kind of hard if you are not using exploits. However, even then, be wary that 100% chameleon will make the game boring. You will never be detected even if you're attacking your enemy. This is because you're literally cloaked. And unlike the invisibility spell, chameleon allows you to move and interact with anything. This can be fun, maybe around an hour or so, but eventually you realize how boring it is and makes the game difficulty trivial more than anything. 6th tip is that enemies that do not see you won't instantly be alarmed by your presence even if another enemy detects you. So I did notice when dungeon diving that even when I stealth attack an enemy that is 30 meters away from another enemy and I engage in a brief sword fight against them, the other enemy will not be aware of my presence. I actually like this since it gives some sort of grace period in which you can recover from an assassination that you cannot one hit. You can just sneak behind an enemy and fight them if they don't die instantly. If you finish the fight fast, then an enemy nearby will not be alarmed. Last tip, but not the least, is to join the Thieves Guild to sell stolen items. In Oblivion, regular merchants do not buy stolen items. The stolen items don't actually appear in the item menu when you are bartering. And so the main way to sell stolen items is to get access to the Thieves Guild fences. This means that you will have to join the Thieves Guild to sell stolen items. For those who are unaware, to join the Thieves Guild, the easiest way is to simply talk to beggars about the Grey Fox. If the option is not there, go look for a wanted poster in the cities, and the option should appear. You'll have to increase a beggar's disposition to around 70, so they will talk about the Thieves Guild. Just bribe them or play the persuasion minigame. Once you get into the Thieves Guild, you will get access to the fences. At the start, you will only be able to sell stolen stuff to Ongar the World Weary in Bruma. He has 600 gold, so that kind of limits the items you can sell to him. When you increase your rank in the Thieves Guild, you will be able to unlock better fences. Aside from the Thieves Guild fences, there are other fences outside of the guild. However, accessing them does require some investment. One non-Thieves Guild fence is Mannheim Molhand, who is the innkeeper in the Inn of Ill Omen. The problem with this fence is that you'll only be able to sell alchemy ingredients to him. You will need level 50 mercantile so you can unlock the perk that allows you to sell any items to merchants. But I guess if you build your character to have high mercantile at the start, you should be able to access him early on. If not, then you will need to grind that mercantile skill. Then there's also the Dunbarrow Cave fence, which you can unlock higher after doing the initial Thieves' Den quest. The bottleneck for this one though is that you will need to pay 1000 gold to hire the fence. Plus, clearing the Cave of the Skeleton Captain may require you to be at a certain level with your weapons. And so yeah, those are 7 tips for playing a stealth character in Oblivion Remastered.
What is it, citizen?